Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad that you're here and that I get to share another episode with you today. I hope wherever you are right now, you're okay. And let's just start all together with a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Sigh it all out. That's it. Very good. So, today's topic is something that's really dear to my heart and that I haven't spoken about that much yet because I always felt like, oh, I'm not ready to talk about it or something like that. And then I realized, when are you ever ready for anything if you're not deciding, let's just go for it, right? So, that day is today. And I would really love to talk with you about being in business with your soul. So, what does that mean? Let's start off with what stands behind this title for me. I've grown up to always have my focal point of confirmation and validation on the outside and not from within. So I would always, if I had an idea or if I wanted to apply for a job or study something or whatever it was, I would always check in with the people around me and feel it out if this is sort of quote unquote okay to pursue, how others would feel about it. And if this is something that is maybe socially accepted, cool, a good path, yeah. But here's the thing, I wasn't aware that I was doing that I was needing that confirmation in order to make a step forward. And back then, I would listen to my intuition, but then I would always check with the outside world, may it be a partner, a parent, a friend, a boss, if what I was feeling inside, what I wanted to bring alive, what direction I wanted to go in was quote unquote okay to go into. If it wasn't too weird or too crazy or too experimental or whatever. And I didn't realize that I put limitations on myself doing that. Yeah. And I always admired those people that knew from childhood on what they wanted to do, who they were, and that didn't let anyone get in their way. When I think of these people, I think of musicians, artists, dancers, even business people that were just so sure of what they wanted and their direction from an inside to the outside approach that there was nothing stopping them. Yeah. Even if somebody gave them negative feedback and it hurt and there were challenges on the way, these people don't let themselves be stopped by that. They will work through it and get out on the other side and grow and expand into what they hoped for themselves. And I always admired this sense of groundedness and security in their idea or in what they want. And I always wanted that for myself. I always admired this drive and the dedication and even devotion to what they imagined for themselves, what they felt pulled towards. And there's a huge difference between being pulled to something as from the outside in. For example, there's so many people who have good business ideas. I mean, look at the startup world. People are starting businesses all the time, but they often look at, ooh, there's a gap in the market. This is what I could do without actually thinking about, does this align with my internal compass? Does this align with my soul? Is this going to drive me forward for a long time? Or am I going to get sick of it because I'm just doing it for the financial value or the societal validation from other people outside of myself? So there's an ego approach, and that doesn't mean ego refers to arrogance. It means just like there's a worldly approach to that, where you're just being rational and look at numbers and see a gap in the market or something that could work and go for that. And I'm sure that works for many people for a while. But that's why a lot of people get burned out and feel depressed, anxious, in panic, losing themselves because they're doing something that is not aligned with their inner compass. And that's what I mean with being in business with your soul, letting your soul or your inner compass dictate your direction in life. Now, I know that's something that is still seen as wishy washy or soft or woo woo, but I really experienced the shift in feeling and drive and purpose from myself when I shifted from that one way of being driven from an outside influence or a need to be validated from the outside world and belong into society and the people around me. And when I then shifted into listening and following my inner guidance above all else. Yeah. And this is a journey. Not everybody of us has this being born and being so sure and dedicated to what you're here to do and following that, no matter the cost and the consequences and the risks. Yeah. And I actually also believe it probably even has a bit to do with how we grow up. If we grew up seeing around us other people do what we are feeling called to do, then we already have the exposure that it's possible. Yeah, because it's possible for somebody else in my environment. So why shouldn't it be possible for me? And they've maybe seen the struggle and the process and the challenges of getting there. And so they are aware that it's a journey and a process, but they are not removed from understanding, oh my God, how could I even make this work? Yeah, because they've seen other people make it work, which is a gift, even if they grew up not feeling super confident about themselves. Then you also have the people who maybe didn't have exposure to what they want to do in life, but they had the reassurance and a network of family and friends that were supporting them no matter what and made them feel held and understood and able to pursue risks because they had such a stable and supportive, safe environment growing up. So those people will feel more free and able to take bigger risks on behalf of themselves because they have the security and that network to fall back on. Yeah. And then we have the people, which I count myself to as well, who grew up in an environment which was quite unstable and didn't make me feel safe emotionally, mentally, even physical at times. And so if you grow up in that environment, you learn to protect yourself a lot and maybe to not be seen. And you may learn to hide and lower your voice, not believe in yourself, because whenever you express yourself authentically, you got either ridiculed or you weren't taken seriously or you were shamed or blamed or any of those things. That can happen when you grow up in a household with emotionally unstable or immature parents, maybe even narcissistic parents, and that can give you a feeling of instability, and sometimes even that you're not allowed to be happier or more successful than your parents, because happiness may have been a fleeting thing, or success and joy may have been a fleeting thing in the midst of chaos. So you probably learned that happiness maybe even unsafe. Yeah. Or maybe it doesn't last. So when you grow up in an environment like that, you may not have as much self belief, self trust, and also confidence in yourself. And when I speak about confidence, I don't mean confidence from an ego perspective, going out there and being like, ooh, I've got it all together. No, but grounded, calm confidence where you just believe in yourself no matter if somebody has a bad comment on you or whatever. You just know who you are and you trust that. So, when you grow up like I did, and that's really not a blame on anybody, we all get different cards to play with in this life. But I had to really learn what my value is. And that took me a long time. And I did have desires and I did follow my joy and my passions. But believing in myself, my value, and my qualities and abilities fully took me a long, long time. And obviously, it's a lifelong journey. I still have evolutions and transformations on topics like that. Everybody has that when they start their own business, because your business is the place that shakes up everything in your life. Yeah, your business and your romantic relationships and having a child probably as well are those things that, if you want to be in it fully with your soul and be happy and fulfilled, you need to uncover what holds you back, what blocks you, what triggers you, what limits you. And there is no hiding. So, being in business with your soul is really a therapeutic process of growing into yourself and becoming who you're here to be. It's been really healing for me to go down that road, but it's also been really challenging because, like I just said, you just got to be so honest with yourself about what you fear, what you love, where you want to go, who you want to be. Yeah. And you will on the way find pain, shame, and limiting beliefs that you get to uncover and release and integrate those parts of you that got hurt somewhere along the way of growing up. And it's a beautiful but bittersweet process. And I think we're living in a time now where being in business with your soul is becoming something that is more normalized. It's still a little stigmatized, I think, but it is actually what will fulfill us when we start listening to our inner compass. And I truly believe that purpose is a byproduct of living life and taking decisions that are aligned with your curiosity and inner compass of whatever feels genuinely true and good within you. I remember a time in my life where I just wanted to find my thing so badly because I saw all the people around me somehow, having found what they want to do. And I just felt like, oh, I feel like I'm just trying to fit in somewhere and be someone, but I never felt really embodied and like I matter, or like, I'm doing something that matters to me truly. So, yeah, there was just a time in my life when I really wanted to find my thing so badly. And what I did was just exploring everything what I felt excited about. I joined different projects of people that I admired and felt inspired by, and got to know what it takes to grow a project, a business. Yeah, what motivates you to go out there and keep on going and be determined. So for me, that involved art, food, technologies, music, mental health. I explored all those different topics, but also different roles within those worlds. And if you're like me and you have many interests, I would recommend not to limit yourself, but follow your excitement and see where it takes you. First, I've really followed blindly. And at some point, I paused and started reflecting on what all these different things had in common and what I loved about them. and what kept me engaging. And this may sound easy and lighthearted, but rest assured, I've had many roller coaster moments that left me feeling uncertain and confused about life in general and my path. And it can seem quite challenging when you're in the midst of it all, but just know that this too is part of life and part of becoming who you're truly here to be. One thing I will say though is don't focus on finding your purpose. Focus on understanding yourself fully with all your fears, doubts, traumas, as well as your joys, excitements, and passions. Make this your purpose for a while without asking, are we there yet? Because dedicating yourself to fully integrating all these parts of yourself will ultimately be the roadmap to a purposeful life. And suddenly it will feel like purpose just showed up, woo, out of nowhere, without you even looking for it. And in those times of, let's call it soul searching, I found it especially important to have mentors and a support system by my side to gain clarity and have a sounding board to figure out what I wanted my life to feel like. And in this process, I understood my qualities, my gifts, my dreams, my desires, and started taking action on creating a life that feels purposeful to me, to me. And I want to really point that out because every single person in the world has a different inner compass and different needs and beliefs and joys and purpose. So don't look on the outside for confirmation and validation that you're on the right path. This is something that you need to feel within you. You can look on the outside for inspiration of how somebody made something work, how somebody, against all odds, got to where they wanted to go. Yeah. Look on the outside for inspiration and wisdom in terms of what works and what doesn't work. Not even that, actually, because what may not work for somebody else may work for you because this is your path, right? But look on the outside for inspiration of what is possible. In my 20s, people constantly told me, ah, Vanessa, you're moving again. You are again doing another job. You're going into another industry. When will you find your thing? When will you settle? And I always felt so ashamed that I haven't found that thing yet, that I'm not calm yet, that I am so hungry for life and trying out things and being so curious. And I know a lot of you out there feel pressured around that topic because maybe your mother or your aunt or your uncle or your dad or your brother or your sister or your friends may say, come on, why are you still not in a stable relationship, in a job that pays you 100K a year or whatever? Why are you not there yet? Well, but maybe there yet is a completely different goal than yours. Maybe you don't even know yet what your goal is, but you feel that drive inside that keeps you moving, and that's okay. I think we need to start accepting ourselves where we're at, what our desires are, what our sense of wonder and exploration is. And you don't need to compare it to anybody else's. One thing, though, is be aware if you're running away from something. Yeah, because you can explore and get curious and be adventurous and hungry for life all you want. That's up to you. And I encourage that. But also notice, are you doing it because you're curious? Or are you doing this because you're running away from something, from your emotions, from your past, from love, from deciding to do something that feels vulnerable. Yeah. So just be aware if you are going on an exploration and adventure for the sake of it, or if you're running away from something. Because I've been also in a place of running away from something when I knew I just needed to be still in the outside world and look inside and be adventuring inside of me into the depth of who I really am. And when you do that, purpose is just a byproduct. You find everything that you are and more. I'm telling you, I never thought I would be here where I am now, even talking to you on this podcast. Yeah, my goal in life, I didn't even know that life could get so good. And trust me, I do have my challenges and I do have new desires and dreams that I want to achieve. But 2 years ago, I had a really strong panic attack. And this is a story for another time, but I just say this for the sake of the point that I want to make. I had a very strong panic attack in the middle of the night. I woke up and I just felt like, okay, if I die now, I've actually achieved everything that I ever wanted to achieve and more. And I don't mean necessarily financially. I mean, I had friends that I deeply loved and am in touch with. I achieved everything on my career and more because I found my soul path and purpose, which I was already walking on. I felt good about all the places I've traveled to and all the people I met and all the cultures and the food I ate and the music I listened to and the concerts I've been to and the dances I've danced and the crazy, weird things I've done. I was like, all right, if I'm supposed to go now, fine, I'm okay. But you know what? Like, it was just a panic attack, but it made me realize how much I've already gotten. And this gratitude is something that drove me forward even more because I realized, wow, it's already gotten so much better than I ever dreamed of. And why? Because in the important moments, even though I wouldn't follow my intuition and inner compass on the daily and in front of people all the time, I would follow it when it was really important. So, for example, deciding to go to Australia after school, deciding to travel to South America in my studies, deciding to move to Portugal and starting a completely new career, deciding to take care of myself and being present in the life of my friends and family and doing the work to be there, deciding to take care of myself and learning sound therapy and somatic healing and breath work and all those things. My soul pulled me to that and I listened, and I'm so grateful I did because otherwise I wouldn't sit here. So I want to motivate you to follow those internal nudges because that's what being in business with your soul is really all about. And this is a thing that may not give you instant gratification. And yesterday I was listening to an interview where somebody talked about, all right, you can go for instant gratification or you can go for the long haul and hold that vision for yourself. And although in your daily life, your dream or your manifestation may not come through so quickly, or you may not even see the signs yet that this is coming, whatever you want is coming, but you are so trusting and set and devoted to that mission, to that dream, to that longing that you have inside, that no matter if it's here in physical 3D world yet or not, you still believe in it. You trust yourself. You set on yourself. Yeah. And that's what being in business with your soul is all about. You make a decision that this is what you want to happen from the heart, from the inner compass, from your soul. It's a feeling that you cannot fake. It really is a feeling you cannot fake. And I feel it right now when I think of it and talk about it with you in my solar plexus, so in my stomach. If you've never heard of chakras, chakras are energy centers within our body. And the solar plexus chakra is the one that sits in your belly, in your stomach. So that is connected to your self trust, your ability to take action, to take risks on your own behalf, to speak your truth, to connect to your desires and needs, to be confident in who you are and act on it and draw your boundaries whenever necessary. There are also different other things that are connected to it, but these are the main things. Trust in yourself, being steadfast in who you are, no matter who's watching or no matter what opinion somebody else has. Yeah. Ooh. And as I feel into that chakra, maybe if you're not driving right now, you can close your eyes for a moment and feel into your stomach and maybe just feel that there's a little spark there. There's a little fire there of something that you need or want or desire so deeply from an aligned soul place. Yeah. And then take a deep breath into that place. Expand it with your breath, and when you breathe it out, just picture a yellow light, like a sun in your belly, in your stomach. Yeah, maybe you can picture that right now with closed eyes, taking another breath in through your nose, deep into your belly. Feeling that sun growing in your body, breathing out through your mouth. Just feeling one more time into that desire or that thing that drives you that's coming up right now. And if nothing's coming, that's also okay. Then just breathe into the wish of having such a thing for yourself. Yeah. A little spontaneous dip into your body here. Yeah. So being in business with your soul really is a journey. It doesn't come from reading a book. It doesn't come from declaring your purpose out of nothing. It really comes from facing yourself and all those parts of yourself that maybe you're afraid of, that you haven't faced before, that you're insecure about, that you're excited about. Yeah. A common misconception is that purpose is connected to outrageous public success and a career. It's not. Your purpose can be expressed simply when you're being present with the people that you love. And living on purpose is unapologetically and genuinely being your heart centered self, no matter who is watching. And that, again, it's a practice. You know, it's a practice to get there. And it's not happening overnight. Again, long term over short term gratification. And if that's impossible for you, if you feel like, oh my God, no, that takes too long, I have no patience, ask yourself why you're in such a rush. Because this is, again, a survival mechanism. I need to have it all now. I need to get there now. What happens if you don't get there right now? It's okay to have the drive to want to get there. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to do it now, because this is just another protective mechanism of your system, because you learned somewhere in the past that you receive love when you are successful or when you do things and when you're productive. You don't need a title. You don't need a million on your bank account to be valuable, to be valued. You're valued right now. And if you don't believe that, then this is where your work is at. Yeah. I tell you from myself, since I'm a little child, I've been a truth teller to everyone around me, especially my parents. And trust me, my mother couldn't take it. Whenever I told her what was really going on, she couldn't take it. She got defensive. She told me I'm wrong, I'm a liar, she ridiculed me and all these things. And I love my mother. I'm just telling you the story from an integrated place. And it's okay to speak that out. And I learned that speaking my truth is wrong. Speaking my truth is shameful, and also that my advice doesn't matter and is not appreciated. So, what I do now in my life is teaching people how to navigate through life challenges. And I advise them on decoding their unconscious beliefs and pains and patterns and getting in touch with their emotions and break free from the limited frame of thinking and to come fully alive in their body and unfold their unique impact. And I can only do that because I overcame my fear and my shame of that deep sense inside of me of knowing something. And I needed my own process with that. I needed to face my own challenges, all my emotions, fears, and insecurities. I needed to go, and I am continuing to go through life challenges and through decoding my own patterns. Because this is what I'm here to do with people. And it took me a long time to accept that and allow that because of the way that I grew up, because I was wronged and I was told that, what I have to say doesn't matter or it's not taken seriously. So, what we need to learn is to feel through those limiting emotions like shame and pain and loneliness and all those things in order to accept ourselves and follow our soul path, our soul desires. Yeah, because it's not from my ego that I want to advise people. I couldn't care less. Do whatever you want. I do care about the world and the earth and love. When I grew up, I was always a loving, sensitive, vulnerable being. But I always felt like I needed to hide that because that wasn't appreciated. And now this is the centerpiece of my work. And I have to take myself serious for it. I can laugh about myself. It's okay too. But I have to take my quality seriously because the pains that you have in your life, the biggest wounds are also the doorways to your greatest gifts and qualities. And that's, my friends, that's exactly what it means to be in business with your soul. Yeah. That's alchemy. That's turning your biggest fears into your biggest, I want to even say, crystals and diamonds. Yeah. It's all about practicing how to tune into the body, listen and breathe. That's the simplest thing I do every single day over years. And it's never bored me and it's never led me to a wrong path. That are the skills that I believe are essential to see ourselves and the world around us clearly, make wiser decisions for ourselves, trust ourselves, and live fulfilled lives. Yeah. Whew, let's take a deep breath. mm. Yeah. I'm telling you, there's so much advice out there about all the different skills and qualities that people say you need to develop in order to succeed in today's highly competitive environment. And often it can feel overwhelming because you're constantly looking to the outside to make sure you're not behind. So let's break it down to just the three skills qualities that I would focus on creating my soul business. This may vary on the goals you have and the impact that you want to create. But focusing on universal skills, I would say discernment is a really important one, as well as devotion and asking for help. These are my three top skills that ultimately changed everything for me and that I use daily to keep me aligned and moving forward. So, discernment is an important skill to cultivate because in doing so, you're learning to trust your unique taste and preferences. It's good to ask others for input and feedback, but it's important to discern if it genuinely serves you and what you're aiming towards, or if it may be too personal or too distracting, because maybe you're doing something that others haven't done before. So, how can they advise you? So, make sure that the people you're asking for feedback and advice, they are somewhat qualified to give you that advice. Discernment is also important in terms of choosing people, experiences, education, systems, therapists, you name it, that will be right for you. And when you don't develop your inner sounding board of what feels resonant with what you want, you may end up following someone else's goals, yeah, instead of your own. And then you may be surprised why you don't get to where you really want to go. So be really honest with yourself and stop taking everyone else's opinion more seriously than your own. That is also a skill that you need to practice. That doesn't come overnight. It's just about correcting yourself whenever you find yourself putting someone else's opinion or feedback over what feels true for you. Yeah. And another important quality for me is devotion. I thoroughly believe the times of profit and fame for ego's sake are really over. And more people are realizing that doing a job solely for earning a living isn't fulfilling their human desire of contribution. So, whatever it is you decide to do in your life, only do it if you're devoted to it. Think about the thing that if you're somebody who wants to do their own thing, and that's okay, and it's okay if you don't want to as well, but write down your boundaries, your values, your desires, like real soul desires, not ego desires, of what your business or your workplace needs to have in order for you to be fulfilled. Because remember, you spend most of your life working. You spend more time at work than you spend with your family and your loved ones and your friends. So you want to do something that fulfills you and doesn't make you feel like it bores your soul. Okay? Because I really feel like this is what life is about, fulfilling your soul and being happy. And if you didn't learn that this is a thing or that's something you deserve, time to learn it, time to do the work to make you feel that you deserve joy and fulfillment in your life. So, whatever you decide to do in your life, make sure it feels good to you. I spent 10 years of my career in the tech industry, and the only part that fulfilled me was my passion for innovation and the possibilities that come with it. But everything else often felt very empty to me. Even the ideas, even how people interacted, how people were pitching, it was just a buzzword bingo. And often it was really ego driven. And that really bored my soul. And then life sent me on a wild ride of dealing with burnout that I wasn't aware I was having. I actually only realized afterwards. And even then, it felt sort of like, ooh, I shouldn't say that I felt that I had burnout, like everybody's busy. I felt like if I say it, I would be undermined by others because they always saw me as so productive and moving around and having fun. But actually, my soul was not okay. And that was only the tip of the iceberg and a symptom of all the conditioning on trauma I uncovered underneath. And in working through all this, I got devoted to learning everything I could about healing the body, about healing the mind and the spirit. I studied, I read, and practiced concepts and tools from psychology, neuroscience, and alternative therapies every single day. And that led me to become an expert in the work that I do now. So, whatever drives you deeply, whatever interests you, and you want to go down the rabbit holes of those things, do it. Don't hold back on it because there's a reason for your curiosity. And I also want to make a point here that you being in business with your soul doesn't mean you need to right now quit your job, leave your partner, or whatever it is that suddenly you're like, I'm not sure, maybe that's not aligned. No, take a breath, you know, especially when we're talking being in business with our soul in terms of fulfilling our soul calling that we feel deep inside. If you don't feel that, it's okay. But if you're a person, a human, a soul that feels that, you don't need to do it all overnight. It's a process. And it doesn't mean that you cannot have a job in between that supports you while you are learning what you want to do, while you're getting comfortable and confident with what you're discovering inside and practicing. Yeah, and it also doesn't mean that you need to become a coach or a healer or anything like that. Maybe you want to be a hairdresser and it's so fulfilling to you to dress people in a way that suits who they want to be and that expresses them even more. Maybe you want to be a hotel owner and you want to create really transformative or indulging experiences for people. Or maybe you want to be a marketing expert. But how can you bring your soul into this? Yeah, this is what it's about. Go with what feels super alive for you and follow that bliss. And maybe you're not going to be that in that position forever. And we are humans and we're supposed to change and transform. If we don't, we get freaking bored and life gets stagnant and we get depressed or anxious or whatever it's going to be. It really is not about you needing to become Buddha on the mountain or a healer. That's not what I'm saying at all. Connect to what you're feeling inside, what feels alive to you inside, and follow that. And it will eventually bring you to your soul business if that's what you want to do. If what you're looking for is your purpose, do the inner work because you don't need to focus on finding your purpose at all. At all. Purpose is a byproduct of what you find inside. I just wanted to make that really clear that you do not need to find something now and go full time in because that may create more stress for you than, keeping on going with the life that you have right now. Being in business with your soul is not an overnight thing. It's a slow curiosity process. Yeah. So allow yourself that time to explore and experience every time a little more soul bliss, those little moments of, that feels good, that feels good, that song I love, that speaks to my soul. I love that ice cream flavor. I love these pens, this color. I love the forest that I went to on holiday. I love English language. I love Spanish language, whatever it is for you. Okay. Start with those little things and then trust the bigger hits that you get of, ooh, maybe I should study marine biology or whatever. Okay, I think you're getting the point. So let's come back a little because, we went quite far out with this. We were talking about the three general skills that I think we need to all develop in order to succeed. So we talked about discernment first, and then we talked about devotion. And now we're going to talk about asking for help because I think asking for help is a very important skill as well. And this may be a skill that's underrated because the societal notion in recent years led us to believe that we should be hyper independent or at least as independent as possible without needing anybody. But let me tell you, it's not just okay to ask for help, it's actually smart. No matter if you feel challenged with mental health, with business, or with a specific industry question, building a reliable support system or network of like mentors, therapists, or coaches, friends, and loved ones that share your values and make you feel loved and seen and held, that you can come to no matter what, that is an invaluable gift that keeps on giving. This is something that I built that also made me release codependence. Yeah, because when you have an interdependent, which is a healthy way of depending on others, then you can support each other. You ask each other, where are you at? What do you need? And some of your loved ones will get you in one way better than the other. And I think it's good to fill your network and your family with people that are of diverse backgrounds and diverse characteristics because we all are different, but we all have similarities. So maybe I can talk about business stuff with one person much better than I can with another. But then maybe the person that I can talk about business stuff with is not as open hearted or as vulnerable as my other friend who works with children or animals, just to give you a simple example. So it's okay to have different roles within your network. Yeah. Important is that you pick those people from a heart space rather than from strategy. This is not something I would advise you because then you don't have a heart connection with those people. I know many people are afraid to invest in themselves or consider this an unnecessary cost, but I really believe this couldn't be further from the truth. Any challenge or uncertainty that you're facing in business, in personal life, health, relationships, whatever you name it, always comes down to your relationship with yourself. So if you ever debate if investing in yourself is worth it, remember this. I should also say lovingly, don't be reckless. So if your budget is limited, you can find small ways to invest yourself, even watching YouTube videos, listening to a podcast, asking a friend for their opinion, going to a group breathwork session, yeah, or even taking one-on-one support. Just get creative and you'll be surprised what you can find and how fast you can grow using discernment, devotion, and asking for help as your guides to success. It's really incredible how much these three tools that seem so simple really helped me move forward and understand myself better, become more confident, and creating really a foundation that feels stable and safe and loving in my life. So, speaking of stability and creating a foundation, I think we should also talk about what to do when you feel overwhelmed. So, when I was younger, I didn't feel when overwhelm was coming. It just basically hit me and sent me down a drama spiral of imagining worst case scenarios. And in those situations, I often felt powerless and like a loss of control. So, from a mental health lens, what happens is your nervous system gets alarmed and moves basically from parasympathetic into sympathetic state. So, that means you're either in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So, if you've never heard about those states, flight stands for escaping or avoiding pattern. Fight stands for defending yourself in some way. Freeze stands for just stopping to move or stopping to take any kind of action. And fawn stands for, you could say, people pleasing, putting other needs over your own to keep the peace of a situation. You could say this is our built in security mechanism or system that is taking over to keep us safe in those situations that we feel overwhelmed. And for me personally, at some point, I noticed that this wasn't a sustainable way of dealing with my stress. And I started reverse engineering the roadmap that led me to get overwhelmed in the first place. So I noticed different things that would happen before it came to the big bang, yeah, the total overwhelm and drama spiral. So I started to set boundaries with myself in form of little breaks, communicating my capacity to show up or to deliver something with others. I reduced my daily workload, so the stuff that I put on my to-do lists. I intentionally started taking self-care time more seriously and started connecting daily to my mind, body, and emotions, mainly through meditation and breath work. And I realized that there's always a build-up to overwhelm. And when we start observing how we feel on the daily, we can process it before we reach the breaking point. And it's mostly about developing the discipline and the awareness to track yourself and how you feel, as well as knowing that your well being is really important and cannot be the last thing on your list to care about. So, having said that, I really recommend you not to create an outrageous daily routine. Keep it short and sweet. So, I wouldn't do it longer than 1 hour. I would actually recommend it to be 15, 20, 30 minutes of things that really make you feel good. Don't make it be another chore on your list because then you will not enjoy doing it and it won't feel therapeutic or like a release or something soothing. So, if you don't like meditating, you don't need to do it. If baking a bread in the morning or taking a run in the morning feels soothing and therapeutic for you, do that. If dancing is the thing, do that. I think we're trying way too much to fit into a box and just tick off that thing. But I really recommend you to do something for you that makes you feel connected to yourself, to your soul, to who you are, gives you clarity and joy, because that's really what it is all about. For me, a thing that I really love to do in the morning is I have a playlist that I play that really connects me to my soul, that gets me excited, connects me to my mission, to the feelings that I want to feel. It opens my heart, it opens my mind and gives me drive and also activates my sense of purpose. So this works for me. And then I move a bit, I meditate and do breath work, and I jump in the shower and that's it. And then I go do work stuff. But yeah, just do whatever feels really good to you. And this is again a discovery journey, right? So you need to feel that out for yourself. Try different things if you need to. You'll get there, I promise. So I've been going through a few big life changes in my personal life and business lately. And naturally, juggling it all felt a little overwhelming, intense at times, and a bit uncomfortable. So, what I do when I have those moments, which we all have, I believe, I acknowledge that this is a time of uncertainty. So, I sit with it in my daily meditation to practice making space for my discomfort that I feel in my body and nervous system. Yeah. And in those situations, all that we want is certainty and safety. So we may try to grab onto something in the outside world to numb the feeling of discomfort, especially if you're moving through a new experience like a business growth or a move or entering a new relationship or something like that. Know that these are growing pains and that old insecurities may come up and that this is completely normal. And know that you're capable of dealing with it. Remind yourself of that. You have gone through so many other challenges, so you are capable of also overcoming this new one, whatever it is, positive or negative. And this is a really important thing to do because most of us, when insecurities or fear or doubt is coming up, we try to put a shield up energetically to that fear or pain or whatever it is. And most of us, most of the time, don't even realize that we're doing it. It's like we're closing up so that we don't need to face the pain or the fear that is coming up for you. And we ignore it because we think if we face it, we're going to lose, we're going to break down, something negative may happen. But the opposite is the case. Because if you face your fears and you make space for it, it may feel like you're moving backwards or you're driving towards the edge of the road, but you are actually making space for all your emotions, for all the parts of you that may be afraid to grow or try something new or face that challenge. And as you're sitting with the feelings and the emotions that are present within you, you are looking at it and you're not looking away. So you can only deal with what you know. So if you ignore it, you don't know how else it's going to hit you. So I just want to remind you that it's safe to look at and feel through those difficult emotions that may come up, or even let the joy in, because sometimes we don't allow ourselves the joy of getting to a next level, discovering something new about ourselves, meeting that new partner or whatever, because we're afraid that we lose it. So sitting with the fear of losing something or the fear of trying something new, you name it, whatever it is for you, will actually take out the pressure and the fear. Because when you feel through it, on the other side of that emotion, there's always a realization and a wisdom. So I strongly encourage you to feel through the fears that may be coming up for you. Because as you're making space for the emotions, they are not going to work against you. They are going to be there on the same page with you. Okay, so don't create dissonance by trying to avoid or trying to suppress or separate yourself from that. Try to open up to it, because that is always the solution. So in order to help you with that journey, you can repeat these two questions to move you forward. What do you really need right now? What do you really need right now? And what is one thing you can do to help yourself feel safer? I'm going to repeat the questions again. What do you really need right now? And what is one thing you can do to help yourself feel safer? Yeah. And maybe it's discernment. Maybe it's deeper devotion to something. Maybe it's asking for help in some way. Okay. Good. Yeah, we arrived at the end of the episode. I just want us all to take one more deep, nourishing breath together. So let's do it. Deep breath in through the nose, deep into the belly, and out through the mouth. Beautiful. So you see that being in business with your soul is a journey. It is an act of devotion. I even think it's an act of love And I just want you to know that you deserve that path if this is what you want. And sometimes it's not easy, but that's okay. It's part of life. So here we are. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to share how you feel about this topic, please do so either on YouTube. You can just drop your comment down below. Tell me a little bit about how you feel about your soul journey, where you're at, what fears you may have, what you haven't stepped into yet, what you really want to try out and devote yourself to or take a risk in. Share with me. I'd be super curious to read about it. If you're listening to that on Spotify or Apple Music or anywhere else, then feel free to reach out. Send me a DM on Instagram, which is vanessa.decodewithsound. And if you can give this episode a thumbs up, if you want to share it with somebody else, if you want to subscribe, if you want to give us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. So me and others can create more episodes for you. Thank you for being here. I love you, and I hope to see you in the next episode. Take good care of yourself. Bye bye.